Hello, and welcome to the Desire of Horror podcast, the show where we review horror movies and discuss what these films say about the nature of human desire. I'm Charla, and with me always is Marty.
Hey, Char.
How are you doing this evening, Marty?
Real good, thank you.
Good. So, this is a special episode of the Desire of Horror. We went to go see the new film's Backrooms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we don't go to movies much.
We
That was
don't
good.
we don't have time to go to the movies much, but we went and saw this movie this past week, and it was so interesting. We loved it so much that it moved us to do a special episode on it.
Special episode
Yes.
coming up. Yeah, we finished up nature horror. We're
Yes.
moving into occult horror. This
Yes.
one, I don't know, it's not like either of those really.
I don't even know what subgenre you would put this in, right? Like
Haunted house, I think you said.
haunted house, yeah, definitely, yeah, haunted house, yeah.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I can't watch found footage at all because
Yes.
of my, I guess it's sinuses or something, but like I've never been able to watch anything found footage
Inner
or
ear problems, maybe?
maybe
something?
inner problems. I don't know, but I will become violently ill. So I had to close my eyes for a good chunk of the movie.
Yeah.
And just open it up real briefly, get really sick, and then shut my eyes again. But as long as the camera was steady, I was okay. So, you know, there was some of it that I kind of had to miss. But, you know, the Steadicam stuff, fantastic. You know, it's got a lot of the elements that we like here at the Desire of Horror. So,
Yes.
you know, I say that I try to bring the psychoanalysis and the history of religions.
Right.
And, man, did it have the psychoanalysis.
It had it all. It had it all. Yeah.
Anyway, and I mean, in a bit, you could say about history of religions, especially in as much as, you know, the therapist was a bit of a, I don't know if she's new agey exactly, but some of her techniques, like, I don't know, I guess the way she marketed herself as like accessing your inner self, like she seemed to have some kind of a line of products that she, or, you know, she was like a cult of, and she wasn't cult of personality, let me take that away. She wasn't Tony Robbins or anything like that, but like I don't know. She had some kind of ambition. Let's just say for her technique.
She did.
So that could be a little, I don't know, history of religion-y, I suppose. But
Well, and also remember this movie takes place in the early 90s, 1990, right? Which is essentially the 80s, right? And so I think during that time, I remember in the early 90s, I don't know if you remember, there was this kind of like new age thing happening. There was a lot of infomercials about opening up your inner self and your inner child and kind of all of that, right? Do you remember that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So yeah, that is a you know, one of a kind. I mean, not one of a kind as in unique, but that's a part of that whole, you know, of the same kind is, I guess, what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Of that sort of a thing. So, but what do you think about it, Char? What was your first impressions?
So when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I was automatically all in. You know.
Oh yeah.
I was like, yes, this looks right up my alley. Right up my alley. You know, I follow many a Facebook page on liminal spaces, and so this was giving me.
As do I, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that was giving me this liminal space feel, and I'm interested in that kind of thing. And I had really high hopes going into this film, and not only did it meet those expectations, it kind of exceeded them.
Okay.
So
why is this? This is sort of a starter question, maybe. Why is this, in terms of liminal spaces, why is this different than any of those Instagram accounts? Why did this one get picked up? I mean, I follow a lot of really cool ones. My favorite one is, I don't remember what it's called right now, but it's like weird hotel spaces, clearly sort of like abandoned, but like, I don't know, not falling apart yet, with like a water slide going down the middle of it. Like you get to different rooms by like water pathways and stuff. I don't know, like, and then, you know, brightly colored beach balls and like all in there, and just water slides and very bizarre situations. I mean, it just seems like this started, at least if I understand correctly from what you told me, from a single photograph, and then the guy you know, made a found footage thing about one of these, I don't know, liminal space places, an abandoned office building, perhaps, something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of those. I can't watch found footage anyways, as we've already covered. But I don't know, like, why is this one maybe different than any of that? What caught the the eye of whoever decided to go ahead and give a 19-year-old a job here.
I don't know. It's very interesting what catches people's attention and what doesn't. I agree with you. I've seen those kind of like indoor motel, hotel looking things where it's like the doors of the motel is around this pool, but it's all indoors, which it looks really cool and really creepy at the same time. I would love to see a movie about something like that as well, but you know,
we could only take one liminal space.
We can only do one liminal space at a time.
I'm sure this will spawn a huge deal.
Well, and then there's a lot of this thing called creepypasta. Are you familiar with creepypasta, Marty?
I'm not. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I did look up. I've heard of creepypasta, but I didn't know the exact definition of it. So creepypasta, it's kind of become a catch-all term for all horror content posted on the internet. So you know, like when we send each other those like kind of creepy Appalachian
we follow
feral people post or whatever. That's all kind of with this thing called creepypasta. It's just, you know, posts that are brief and user-generated paranormal stories, and it's basically intended to frighten people. So this is where this started. This Backrooms, that photograph kind of started in this creepypasta internet atmosphere, if you will, right? So just to give a little background on this movie, this psychological horror film is directed by Kane Parsons, and you mentioned him, and it's written by Will Sodick. It's based on Parsons' web series and inspired by the Backrooms creepypasta. The film originated after the web series gained widespread attention online. Following its debut in January of 2022, Parsons was approached by several film studios interested in adapting the concept into a feature-length movie. And in February of 2023, it was officially announced that development on the film had begun. So yeah, he was, I guess it just caught the attention of people and kind of build up this lore.
I can see that. Like, I mean, the thing I kind of want to think about or talk about with you is like why. So what is it about liminal spaces? What is it about, you know, so we saw a horror movie that you did not enjoy. I did not enjoy watching it either, but I liked the concept. It was a little ditty by the name of Skinamarink, also done very cheaply. But like, so again, you have this house and it's, you know, shot in a grainy kind of retro way. Yeah. Clearly like a, you know, late 70s, maybe early 80s house.
Yes, definitely, yes.
And something sinister is going on there. You don't know what, but there's this juxtaposition of like, I don't know, is it the 80s vibe? Is it the clean cut kind of like carpets and like just the boring, you know, tragically samey kind of spaces of that time, office spaces?
Yeah.
Like, is it just the fact, and this is kind of where I'm at with it, that's where people of our generation, that's where our nightmares took place. Mostly because that's, you know, what we were exposed to. So like if I was going to be chased by something, it usually was in some weird liminal mall-like, hotel-like office building. Those places like look creepy. And I think maybe what makes them look particularly creepy is that they, you know, they were meant to like welcome in this, I don't know, new age, they were like a break against, you know, older types of architecture. They were sort of cheap. A lot of it's somewhat prefab.
Right.
I don't know, not a lot of intricacy or decor to anything. So there's our decoration to the whole thing. So like, you know, like, whereas I grew up in a very old neighborhood on the north side of Chicago, there was like moldings and like people, even my mom used to go antiquing, get like all this really intricate antique furniture, and it had like a lot of different, I don't know, decorative qualities to all of it. But this is just like, you know, straight, you know, not a lot of decoration, not a lot of, you know, anything going on. There's this, you know, idea that this is futuristic, or at that time it felt like this looks modern to me or whatever. Yeah. But then there's from a sort of like warped nostalgia point of view, there's like this sense of lost futures, like perhaps a Mark Fisher kind of hauntology, lost futures thing, where it's something that was like meant for the modern era and for advancing humanity is now kind of like this dying, decrepit thing. It's probably the same impulse that, some of the other things I look at Instagram are like people going into old malls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you look at the abandoned mall, and there's kind of like this sense of decadence, like the fall of the Roman Empire, the late capitalism, eating itself or something like that. So, I mean, I don't know. And I do have a little bit of a history with, in the 90s in particular, going into some of those spaces, especially in and around Detroit. And, there were also some where I grew up in Chicago, but like there was such a freaky like feeling going in. I do actually remember going into a hotel that was abandoned in Detroit one time, a hospital that was abandoned in Detroit one time, and they were just really, I don't know, the feeling is like none other. Like, so I don't know. What are your thoughts? What about liminal spaces is freaky to you?
I don't, you know what? I don't know. I'm going to say that first off, right? But I think that I have had dreams where I am in liminal spaces, right? Before I even knew what a liminal space was.
Oh yeah, we should define that. What does the word liminal mean?
I don't know. I'll have you take that away. What is the liminal space?
In between.
In between. Okay.
So like a transitional space.
Gotcha.
I finally get to bring up a history of religions. Like one of the theories of religion, Victor Turner and his wife, whose name I'm forgetting right now, two anthropologists, religious studies people, they wrote about how a lot of religious ritual is to bring you from one place to the next. So the most obvious example is any religious ritual around becoming an adult, so that the ritual is there to transition you from childhood to adulthood, something like that. So a liminal space is like the threshold of the door, metaphorically speaking, but perhaps also literally speaking as well. So so it's a transitional space.
Gotcha. So before I even knew what a liminal space was, I had many of dreams as a child, sometimes as an adult, where I'm in a liminal space and I'm going so far into it that I start to panic because I'm scared I'm not going to be able to find my way back.
Perfect, yeah.
And so I think that is what interests me about it. Like, why are we drawn to it? Why does it show up in our dreams, my dreams?
Yeah.
And why, if I've never personally encountered anything in my dream to give me a feeling of danger, why do I have that? Why do I have that anxiousness when I'm dreaming and I'm in a liminal space? Like, what is that fear? What is that anxiety, right? And as somebody who absolutely loves horror movies because it gives me that rush, I feel like that's what interests me in liminal spaces, because there's something about it that feels off, that feels dangerous. Even if we don't see the danger, it feels dangerous. It's unsettling. And so I think that when people are interested in like a movie like Backrooms or the creepypasta when it comes to liminal spaces,
or Skinamarink,
or Skinamarink, it's because it feels weird, it feels strange, it feels like uncanny, as what you always like to use that word. It's so different
than I think we were somewhat agreed about the haunted house kind of moniker, but so it's a very different kind of haunted house. So it is labyrinthine, maze-like, whatever. But the difference, I guess, is that thinking about a haunted mansion. Let's think about Hell House or The Haunting of Hill House or any of those kind of places. You're thinking about a Gothic-looking sort of the extravagant interior. And so originally the haunted house was associated with a aristocratic manor of some kind that was cavernous, contained all kinds of secrets. So I mean there's a bit of a crossover there, but also the idea too that something was off, there was decay.
Right.
So you could maybe think of Poe's Fall of the House of Usher, not the Netflix series, but
Yeah.
or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Was it Netflix? I don't know.
Yeah,
But
Netflix.
but like, the original kind of Fall of the House of Usher, that kind of set the stage for the idea of a haunted house. And the haunting is really ambiguous in Fall of the House of Usher. But I would just say that it's a big crossover with what we're talking about in terms of nightmares and dreams, because houses are famously psychological. When you dream about them, you're dreaming about something, that's easily, I don't know, like thought of as a mapping out of your psychology in a way sometimes. Like people think of the way, if you're dreaming of a house, you're somehow dreaming of like different aspects of yourself, the different rooms, or like, different things, maybe rooms you don't want to go into are related to ideas and memories you don't want to recall, trauma kind of a thing. And that has a huge crossover in this movie as well with, the dreamlike. I think liminal mostly means dreamlike actually in this context, but in the dreamlike space, there's this incredible psychological exploration and danger, because we're talking about a person with a very dangerous psychology, at least in part. So
Yeah. All right. Backrooms was theatrically released in the United States by A24, one of my favorite movie studios of all time. Yeah.
Okay.
On May 29th, 2026. The film received mostly positive reviews from critics and grossed 177.8 million worldwide as of May 30th. So
this happens once in a while with low budget horror films.
I'm sure that has skyrocketed since then. That was the number as of the second day that it was in the theaters, right?
Awesome.
It became A24's biggest opening and highest domestic box office performer, and made Kane Parsons the youngest filmmaker to reach #1 at the American box office, and ranked as the third highest grossing horror film of 2026.
Wow, yeah. So
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing, I did have a lot of concerns going in.
Yeah.
I was like most 19-year-old, I don't know what, savants, like, this is not going to be good. This is going to be somewhat, I don't know, simple. That's what I was thinking, like, or hit you over the head with its obviousness, which there were some things like that. But I was really, because I just think a kid that age is going to be ham-fisted about things. But you know what? For the most part, it really worked. I mean, Orson Welles is probably the most famous savant, that he was allowed to make movies quite young for a while, famously good. But then, he was given less and less of a budget over time because he got weirder and weirder with his stuff. I mean, at least partially that's why. I don't know other reasons, but yeah. So there are people that can pull it off, and I was surprised this kid did it. So
yeah.
Good job.
All right, you ready to get into it?
Yeah, I'm ready to get into it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So, just an announcement, everybody, that there will be spoilers. So, if you don't want this movie spoiled for you, then stop listening right now or stop watching. But I would advise everybody, whether you listen to us or whether you stop it here, go see this movie if you haven't already. It's freaking awesome. Freaking awesome. Okay, furniture store owner Clark, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, is struggling with alcoholism and the fallout from a recent divorce. He regularly attends therapy sessions with Dr. Mary Klein, played by Renate Reinsve, who is dealing with her own unresolved trauma surrounding her agoraphobic, paranoid mother and the demolition of her childhood home.
Yeah, so starting right there, demolition of the childhood home.
Yes.
I'll say that, I grew up on a block to a certain age, I guess 17, on the north side of Chicago. And I became very sort of like attached to that house, partially because we had to do so much fixing up of it, and I was included in a lot of that. I mean, the lion's share was done by my mom for sure, and my dad, but like I was old enough for a lot of it to be involved. And you do start to feel like your childhood home is a part of you. It's somehow like, I don't know. And when we moved out, we moved into a very different type of a situation. So I moved from a very old, turn-of-the-century neighborhood to a very modern sort of place that looked very much like an office building to me. Like just had like kind of it was very generic. It had
very typical suburban home, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I moved into the suburbs for real at that point, you know. And it was very much, and I was older when I did it, so I wasn't even there all that long before I went away to undergraduate. But so everything was, very, simplified from all the complexity that I had seen in all the moldings and the decorations and all of my mom's antique furniture no longer fit. Because it just wasn't a part of the vibe at all. Just she got rid of all of it, and she should have. It would not have fit.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just know like from that point on, I've been by my childhood home, but I've never been back in it, and it's just a weird feeling to think about your childhood home.
It is. My childhood home is torn down. It was demolished.
Yeah.
So it's weird to drive past it. I've drove past it a couple times. It literally feels like there's something missing within inside me. It's so weird.
Yeah. It was really interesting to me that the therapist, her the scene is her childhood home being destroyed. And her mom, seeming like, you said she is agoraphobic. Agora is the Greek word.
Agoraphobic.
I don't know how to put it all together in English. But anyways, so fear of open spaces is what it means.
Yes.
She, seemed like she had paranoia, maybe schizophrenia, something like that. It was like super, upset even when her daughter just, opened the shade a little bit to look outside. She's obviously very affected by that because, they're still in there, it seems like, as the home is being demolished. And so they don't actually show a scene of them being dragged out or anything like that. But I assume something like that had to happen at some point.
What do you mean?
Well, maybe she was just like imagining it in a dream, but the therapist is having dreams of her as a kid and the walls of the house.
Yeah, I think it's a dream.
Oh, it's a dream. Okay.
Because we clearly see in the very beginning her as an adult standing watching the demolition of the house, right? And then her having flashbacks of being young with her mom and remember putting her hand in the concrete. Remember that?
Well, yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I think those images of her being a child inside the house and then the crane coming in I think those are dreams.
Yeah, okay, dream sequences.
Yeah,
of course. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but that's totally right. But she keeps in her office the handprint from the driveway or whatever.
Yes.
So it is clear that homes and home-like spaces are, supposed to be center in this story because the guy has lost his home, and we see in this kind of like raucous therapy session where she wants to play act with him, which I know is a therapeutic technique. I don't know its proper use or anything like that. I don't know if it was being used properly or not, but it gets him all wound up, and you can see he talks very openly, which is amazing that he wouldn't be more guarded with a female therapist, but. Like calls his wife like a fat cow, maybe.
Fat ass.
A fat ass.
Yeah.
Sorry. So this calls her a fat ass.
Yeah.
Like this is his house. Like if she would get off her fat ass and like help him, but because she won't help him, he's got to take this shitty job, even though he's apparently an architect. But he's like got to take this shitty job selling home furniture. So man, we are really getting hit hard with the home symbolism big time. So here's a dude who lost his home and blames somebody else.
Home.
Yes.
He brings that up several times. He got kicked out of his own home.
Because in the divorce she got it or whatever.
Well, they're not even divorced, I don't think. Are they? I thought just took it as they were separated. Like, and we'll get into it because Clark has so much resentment.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it's coming from. Maybe you could help me figure that out. But he has this resentment of being a failed architect, his wife, for some reason, he hates her, but he has all this resentment. And I took it as he's resentful because she kicked him out of his own house. When in reality, I'm pretty sure he could probably like just go back home. But I don't know. Maybe they are divorced. I took it as they were just separated. But
I'll just say this, that like, so like, I don't, I figured out some of those details would be a little bit difficult, but it's not hard for me to have seen men talk like that and act like that, especially around divorce. I have seen many men, especially if they've invested some time and allow their money into the house, and then see, even if they're the reason why there was a divorce, and it seems like he sort of is here with his alcoholism, but like, you blame the other person, it seems like, in these things, if you have this level of emotional immaturity that you cannot, it's like one of those rooms you can't go in your house, you can't see who you really are and how you are the one who self-sabotaged this situation. So I can't tell you, Shar, how many men I know who have said almost those exact things.
Sounded very familiar. Like that rhetoric, I've heard that before so many times. Just in general, like just men being resentful for whatever reason, or and I got kicked out of my home. Like that rhetoric was.
I actually can remember even when I was a kid. I think it was like one of Eddie Murphy's stand-up things, and he had just gotten a divorce, and he made a joke on stage about having to give half to this person who didn't do anything. I can remember that. I mean, so there's a very common, very common thing. Yeah. Very common thing.
Yep. So when Clark notices unusually high electricity bills and persistent flickering lights at his store, he hires an electrician to investigate. The electrician discovers 3 strange red breaker switches installed at an odd angle inside the breaker box. Soon after, Clark finds a glowing slit hidden in the basement wall and accidentally passes through it into the back rooms, an endless maze of yellow-stained walls, humming fluorescent lights, in an unsettling emptiness. After a terrifying encounter with an unseen entity, he narrowly escapes back into the furniture store. So, the first time we see him go through that wall, what were your thoughts?
I don't know. It's not exactly the way that I would have done it, but like
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so there's just kind of like this. It appears to be a wall, but it's not, basically, and you just kind of push through it that way.
Yeah.
So having seen, my favorite way to enter another land from a regular old place. This is very cliche, but it's C.S. Lewis. So, pushing through the back of a wardrobe, you can't really see, and then like eventually you wind up and you're in Narnia or whatever. That's my favorite entrance. But even C.S. Lewis throughout that series, and I didn't read anything but that one book when I was a kid. But there came to be other ways to enter into other lands or whatever. And so, I mean, in terms of like entering, I mean, it's okay, but like I just would have and other things, like what was that one when we saw it at every horror movie ever that I've seen is because of you, but like that one with the red door, right?
The red door. Oh, Insidious?
Yeah. So that's another good way to me. So like where like he opens the door at one time and it's just like a regular room, but like again in the psychological sort of perhaps haunted sort of situation. He opens the door again, and now it's like a totally different situation. So it's like, I don't know. There's a lot of cool ways that you could go into a liminal space, but like I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you like that way?
The liminal space, right? The back rooms. But he just happens to walk past and just looks at the right time and kind of sees that light in between the wall, right? And I'm just like, oh, it just coincidence, right? But then the more I thought about it, I thought, is he being called into the back rooms? Is the flickering electricity, the persistent blackouts, is that causing him, is that calling him to kind of investigate the electricity and kind of putting him down in the basement at that certain time so that he can walk past and see, like,
seemed to be.
So
yeah.
I don't know. Like, what do you think? Do you think it's calling to him, or do you think it's
Yeah,
just a
clearly. I mean, I think it's kind of, so again, it's sort of funny that like he's pissed about these huge electrical bills.
Yeah.
So like if whatever was going on in that space, you know, like if they were trying to hide it, they wouldn't like stick somebody else with a damn electrical bill. But like, and anyways, like, so there seems to be a sort of calling to him there to investigate what the heck's going on.
Right.
But like, I also thought it was funny too, because that is another like typical male thing to be pissed about. At the, like, you know, start yelling at the family.
I could relate to that.
Yeah, because
bills,
like
turning
what's
off
going
lights.
on? Yeah, what's going? Yeah, like, yeah. What do you think I made of money? Like, you know, I can't.
Yeah.
You know, you all don't. You know, all the things. You know, people go into a rant about like how everybody else in the family, you know, doesn't know what it's like and that kind of stuff. So. You know, that was a very domestic sort of a thing where he's like trying to figure out how so much power is being used or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and that, you know, and it calls him into this space. And then when he's in there, it was you that pointed this out, which was like just total throwback to Poltergeist.
Well, is that this part or is that later?
He walks in. No, it's when he first walks in, he sees the pile of furniture.
Yeah.
So I didn't think about it at first, but you said that was Poltergeist.
Well, there's another call to back to Poltergeist at the end also. But yeah, the piling of the furniture was very Poltergeist adjacent.
Yeah, so famously, the way she gets in Poltergeist, that poor little girl, is she gets pulled into the TV screen.
Yes.
Which is another kind of cool, very frightening way, very
Yes.
Metaphorically rich way, because that it was obviously a critique of, you know, a TV set sucking in your entire life, but in childhood and whatever else happens to her, and like having to go into that space and, you know, get her back, rescue her, or whatever. And there was another one, House 2, I think. Or no, was it House 1 or House 2?
House 1.
Yeah, they had all kind of like ways of getting into the back walls. Yeah. So
Poltergeist, the house to me was always a liminal space. Like, the house from the outside, you see this house, but then when you're on the inside, it feels like it's so much bigger and in so many different places than what it appears to be on the outside.
Yeah.
And then, you know, with not to get into Poltergeist, but there's a lot of like going into spaces and people disappearing in closets and all of that kind of thing. So it's
and closets that were empty now have something in them and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, a house also too.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
But
but I think Poltergeist was that a part of the whole, you know, building a suburb on ancient Indian ground, or was that?
No, they did. It wasn't ancient Indian ground. They just built
a regular old cemetery or something like that, and they didn't move the bodies.
You moved the headstones, but you didn't move the bodies.
Yeah.
It's a classic line.